This week I thought I'd take a little time to answer some of your questions because we've been doing these videos for a couple of years now and the emails just build up, and I'd love to answer every one of your stupid questions, but I just don't have the time to do it just because I got a life to live and got work to do, and I just got other things. So every now and then, though, I do get a chance, and I thought today would be a good opportunity to dig into the mailbag and answer some of those deep, dark questions that you guys have been asking. Recently I did a video on face and eye protection for playing airsoft, and I had a comment from one of the viewers that he can't use the face protection because it keeps him from getting a proper sight picture when he's looking down the sights of his gun. And that's kind of a common problem because the sights on a lot of guns are very low. Now, I usually advocate for the M4 design gun when picking a gun. Most people ask me what gun to pick when they're getting into airsoft, and I always say an M4 because there are so many options for this gun, and you really can't do this for every other gun that's out there. This is one of the very few guns that has all of these options. My solution to the problem is to add the standard carry rail and then mount the scope on top of that, and that gets the scope up a good 6 inches above the stock of the gun, which gives you a lot of room to get your face in there without having to cram your face in with a face mask. Now, I know a lot of guys don't like this because it doesn't have the look of the gun that they're going for, because they want to look like the guy in American Sniper or whatever, and you know, if that's your reason for playing airsoft is to emulate somebody else, I guess that's fine. Me personally, I get in there to actually shoot at things and hit my targets, and if that's what you're doing, then this is the solution to the problem, is just get the sights up higher. If you can't put a carry handle on it, there are aftermarket risers you can put on the gun, or you can get one of these cantilever sights that sits up another inch or two higher as well. So there are a number of solutions to that problem. The worst solution to that problem, I say, is to not wear face protection because you can't see your sight, because I'd hate to see you get a tooth blown out, you know, in order so that you can see the sights on your gun, because that would probably be about the dumbest thing to do. Another follow-up question we had to that same video was, we had several people actually ask, what about using mesh goggles rather than using the ballistic glass or the clear plexiglass that's on the tactical goggles and the paintball masks? And what they're asking about is stuff like this, which is a metal wire mesh that's on the goggles. The obvious benefit of this is that this stuff doesn't fog up, so if you're running around and sweating a lot, you don't have to worry about the goggles getting all fogged up, where that is a problem with some paintball masks. Now, the problem with this is there are people out there that claim that it is conceivable to get hit right in the middle of the mask, have the BB shatter upon impact, and then have pieces of that BB continue through the mask and penetrate your eye. I personally have to say that we've been in business now for over 1.5 years at the airsoft arena, and we deal with this sort of thing every day, and I have never seen a person sustain an injury from this kind of goggles. Now, that being said, I have to say that it's absolutely conceivable for that to happen, for a BB to penetrate, you know, or to break and then have the pieces penetrate through the goggles. So you kind of need to be the best judge as to whether or not you want to risk that sort of thing. As to myself, I've never seen it happen, but I tend to err on the side of caution anyway, and I just use the standard paintball mask with the ballistic glass on them. We got a lot of comments about the Milsimmers and the calling hits video, and a lot of people asking about that sort of thing. And I have to say, I've seen a lot of bizarre behavior with people and calling hits. And that's probably one of the greatest problems, I think, in my opinion, with airsoft, is that there's really not a lot of verifiable ways to make sure whether or not you hit a guy. Unless, of course, you've got like a GoPro on and you can do instant replay and show somebody that you hit them. But I've seen a lot of the most silly behavior that I've ever witnessed by human beings with calling hits. People that just are incapable of accepting the fact that they've been hit. You mostly assume that it's going to be a lot of little kids where they're just impatient or whatever. But I've also seen, the craziest thing is a lot of adults that, like actual parents that come in with their kids to play that, are obviously getting pelted with the BBs and just not calling their hits. I don't know what to tell you about that kind of stuff. I know when I personally shoot a person and I see the BB bounce off of them, I know I hit him, so I really don't need the gratification of the guy, telling me that I hit him. If that gives you some sort of reassurance, or it validates your existence to hear somebody say hit, then, you know, I guess that's fine, but I gotta tell you, if you're getting into airsoft and you're one of these people that has a problem with people, you know, if you get so aggravated with people that don't call their hits, you're gonna be probably one of the most freaking upset, frustrated people on the face of the earth, because this is one of the things with airsoft you're gonna have to accept, is that it's possible that you shot somebody and maybe they either never knew it or just are not going to give you the gratification that you want from it. So maybe you need to try paintball or something. One question I've gotten quite often since we've opened the airsoft arena is, when are you guys going to open an outdoor venue for playing airsoft? And I gotta say, that's one of the funniest questions I've ever gotten, because the people asking that question, either you don't live in this area or you've never been to a metropolitan area, or you're just too young and naive to understand exactly what it is that you're asking us to do, because we're in metropolitan Maryland. We're here in the Baltimore, Washington metro area. And property values around here are freaking ridiculous. They're like Beverly Hills around here. To buy a 1 acre lot, you're looking at about $250,000 for just some crappy 1 acre lot. And that's minimal to set up an outdoor airsoft place. The second problem is the zoning. There is a lot of places around here where you're just incapable of setting up an airsoft arena or an airsoft venue, because it's just not zoned for it. If you try to set a place up in an area that it's improperly zoned, you'll get one person to complain, and then the county will come in and shut you down, and you're done. And there goes your whole investment. So you need to understand, in an area like this, it is so expensive. We just have 5,000 square feet, which is a postage stamp, and that costs us thousands of dollars a month to rent. You can't imagine what it would cost to have a 1 acre lot and try to find it where it's zoned, and neighbors that aren't going to complain, and an insurance company that's going to insure it, and everything that goes into it. You're going to be paying hundreds of dollars an hour to play on a lot like that. It's just not possible in this area. One question I get quite often is, what is the maximum range of an airsoft gun? And that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, what are we really talking about here? Are you asking, like, if I shot at a high angle, how far could I lob that BB before it eventually hit the ground again? Or are we talking actually deliberately aiming at a target and putting shots on that target reliably? And what size of a target are we talking about? Something the size of a garbage can lid, or something about the size of, you know, a human kill radius, which is what, about 8 to 12 inches, something like that. I think if we're talking about something like that, shooting at a still target, maybe 100 feet, maybe 150 feet. Now, once you get into something where the target's maneuvering and firing back at you, and you're actually going to engage that target and hit it with an unrifled airsoft gun, I think 100 feet's asking a lot for most people. From what I've seen at the airsoft arena, I think best range is usually about 25 feet. That's your maximum effective range, because the BBs only travel at about 350 feet per second where we're at. Now, there are other places you can shoot up to 400 feet per second. So if your target is 400 feet away and you're shooting at 400 feet per second, there's a full second delay between when you shoot the BB and when it hits the target. And if the target's moving, boy, you gotta have some special kind of targeting to be able to hit a moving target like that and offset your shooting enough that you're gonna hit it. You know, I think a lot of people give themselves a lot more credit, you know, with being able to hit targets like that, because I haven't seen anybody that can do it. And if you're one of those people that are out there that can hit targets at claimed 200 yards and 300 yards with an airsoft gun, you got some special kind of skills, I gotta tell you, because I don't think anybody can do that. One question I get quite often is it possible to kill somebody with an airsoft gun? And, well, yeah, I suppose it is, but they would have to hold really still, and you would have to beat them over the head with it and bludgeon them to death with the frame of the gun. Now, it would have to be a full metal gun, of course. If you tried it with a plastic gun, I don't think you'd get too far with it. But to actually shoot somebody to death with an airsoft gun, that would be one heck of a feat of shooting ability, because I don't think it's possible. These are designed to not cause bodily injury, you know, if you're using them properly. I know it made a lot of people really angry when I called these things toys, But I'm going to stand by that because these are not really weapons. These are replicas of weapons. This is not an actual firearm. This is a toy. Otherwise, we'd be issuing these to our frontline troops and they'd be shooting airsoft BBs in Afghanistan. Now, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble with one of these. You know, if you ran into a crowd and brandished this thing, you would probably, at the very least, get arrested and at the worst, probably get shot to death for acting stupidly. But that doesn't mean that, you know, this wasn't a toy. You just used the toy very stupidly. So I'm going to stand by my my use of the word toy with the airsoft guns. A lot of people asking me what I think about Polar Stars, and I'm a little, you know, on the fence about it. The upside is they are incredibly reliable. There's not a lot of moving parts. There's just basically a servo with an air valve that opens and closes and fires the BB. So there's not a lot of parts to break. So you don't see a lot of broken Polar Stars. On the other hand, they are terribly expensive. You're probably going to spend about $700 on a Polar Star system. Besides that, they're also hard to get the compressed air for. You can't just hook it up to your basic air compressor. They run at about 3,000 to 4,000 pounds per square inch, so you need a special air compressor. And as the field owner, I just don't have an extra $15,000 laying around for a special high pressure air compression system in order to charge the two people's Polar Stars that come to my arena. It's probably more than two. It's probably like maybe 4 or 5 people that'll come on any given day with a Polar Star. The biggest problem I have with the Polar Star is the danger / cheat factor, where you can crank these things up to shoot velocities that are potentially unsafe, and you can crank up the rate of fire to shoot more BBs than you really need to, which defeats the whole purpose of doing airsoft, which is to compete. To me, the whole idea is to compete on a level playing field. I don't want to compete against how much money you can dump into your gun. I want to compete against you as a player to see if you're a better shot or am I. Can I sneak up on you and get the drop on you and hit you with a BB, not just sit back and blaze away until one of my BBs just inadvertently ends up bouncing off of you and you're called out. So, you know, it just goes to what exactly you're playing airsoft for. The rate of fire thing scares me because I don't like the people having the ability, because there are some people out there that are quite frankly too stupid to make that kind of judgment. And, you know, if it was just getting higher velocities was what we were after, we'd be out there with pellet rifles shooting at each other, you know, because they're obviously higher velocity and they can hit their targets better. But that's not what we're doing with airsoft. We have to accept there are certain limitations to the game that we have to play within so that everybody stays safe. So, you know, those are the problems I have with the Polar Stars. You decide for yourself. I've had quite a few questions about the loadout video, also people wondering about what I was wearing, and I've actually changed my opinion on my actual getup that I'm wearing if I go to play airsoft these days, where back when I shot that video I was using a lot of the UCP and the ACU, which is the digital camo that the US Army has been using, which has been, or at the time of this video is being phased out, that I'm going for something that's a little bit less government issue. I'm going for something that's just like a tactical black or just a mixed kind of thing, because there's some inherent problems I think with using something that's actual government issue or military issue that some people get themselves into some trouble with, and I'm just trying to avoid any potential problems with it. So, you know, and then the problem is with some of that is that there's people that are out there that pretend to be in the military and they wear those kind of suits to try to get military discounts at different stores, or they just go into public and like to hear people tell them thanks for your service or whatever. I don't really understand the kind of behavior. It's really kind of stupid, actually. So, and there have been times where, you know, I'm going to work, I'm heading to the airsoft arena, I'm wearing UCP. Now, when I wear any of that kind of stuff, or when I wore any of that stuff, there's no insignias on it. I don't have any of the Army patches or insignia on it to try to confuse people. But, you know, if you're wearing it, it looks awfully government issue, and people will stop you on the street and thank you for your service. And I don't know what to say to people when they say to me that well, I'm not actually in the military right now, or, you know, I'm just on my way to work. Are you thanking me for my service with opening the airsoft place, or are you saying this because you think that I'm in the military right this second, because I'm just actually going to work at the airsoft arena? For me, the nice thing about the UCP and the ACU is that they are readily available, and with the fact that they are phasing them out, they're going to be even more readily available. And at that point, I think once they are fully phased out and nobody in the service is actually wearing them, and you won't be confused for somebody that's in the service, then no harm, no foul. So I'm just playing it safe, and I'm just no longer wearing that kind of stuff until it's no longer government issue. Now, with little kids, with like 15-year-olds, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids that are wearing it, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and wear it, because if anybody mistakes you for actually being in the military at your age, they're just freaking either stupid or crazy, and don't worry about it. But as for me, I'm just going for a less government issue kind of look with my get up when I'm playing airsoft these days. So those are some basic questions that I get from people all the time. I just thought I'd throw those out there and hopefully answer some of them for you. And if you got some more questions you want to throw my way, feel free to just go ahead and comment at the bottom, and I'll pick and choose and see if there's something else I want to respond to next time around. So in the meantime, if you want to check out the Airsoft Arena, go on up there. Best bet, if you want to find out about any of this stuff, go to our website at replayairsoft.com. There's information on the store, there's information on the website where you can actually order guns, and there's also information about the Airsoft Arena. You can do any of the ones you like and check it out for yourself. So until the next time, don't let the bastards get you down.